What's going on YouTube? This is your man Tagatu, and I am back with another video. I think where we left off, and you guys know that this series is kind of like the history of how I got into gaming, the organizations I was with before HeXp, and the history of HeXp. This episode is basically going to cover, it's going to go into more in detail of the Vicious Army days and when the 360 came out and when I really got into the console competitive, and we're going to be going into some of my personal life that was going into it, as well as the gaming and the people that I was interacting with. And yes, I am going to be the backdrop video for this is Guitar Hero, I don't know, the first one or something, Legends of Rock, I don't know, Guitar Hero 2, whatever it is. I'll just going through games and saw that and I was like, let's throw that as a backdrop. So don't hate me if I suck. I haven't played it in quite some time. It was just something interesting to have in the backdrop. Alright, so let's start out. I think the Xbox 360 came out in 2005. In my personal life, I got out of the Marine Corps in 2001. I had done, that was the highlight of my life. I was living in Hawaii. Basically had everything I wanted, a nice car, I was surfing, it was in Hawaii. I mean, it was the best, part of my life that I could possibly even imagine. So after that, I did get out, and I got another computer job. It was basically going around to all the different air forces, installing computer equipment and stuff for the new ID cards, making the new ID cards which had a chip in them. And that lasted for about 3 years. I went from Jersey to Florida to Texas, did some work in Mississippi. The big one was Miss Eglin Air Force Base. And that's, I think, the largest Air Force base. But anyway, so if we were to fast forward, that's about 2004-ish that I got done with that contract. And at that time, I moved up to Tennessee. One of my friends lived down there for a bit and moved back home, which was Tennessee. And this is where my life kind of took a turn for the worse, because even though I had all this computer experience, I wasn't able to find a job. So going from $16, $17 an hour, I went down to minimum wage, which at that time I think was $6.50, $7. I was living with his parents, and we kind of got a trailer in a trailer park to kind of get through. And at this time, I didn't have money to have a phone. My car payments were taking basically all my money because I had a nice car and I was trying to make the payments. I was working at a restaurant as a cook. It was a low point in my life. I started drinking, as much as I could. I was, into drugs at some point, and it was just a very low point. That carried on. Fast forward a couple years, and I'm still in a low point. I still don't have an Xbox because I can't afford it, and I was living with other people until about 2006. Now, as far as the gaming goes, Call of Duty 2 came out, and in my last video I told you that I didn't get the Xbox till late, which was in 2006. I finally caught a break, and I had a job at what they call Calsonic around here. It's a Nissan corporation that builds all the mufflers and stuff, and I was making pretty good money. We just got a hotel, not a hotel, but a apartment. Things were starting to turn up. I had money, so I went and got the 360. One of the first major games that I got into, I had gotten Call of Duty 2, but again, like I said, I wasn't really playing with anybody really. and the first one I got was the Gears of War. And I already told you, I was in the top 100 for that game. There was a turning point in my life that kind of happened around 2006 as far as gaming and personal. As I said, I was in a low point pretty much, and I was broken and bruised, I guess what you call mentally. Through the couple years I'd been in a relationship, and that was going south. It was really rough and a bad relationship. The girl that I was with was cheating on me. I had lost my job at the Calsonic, so I was in basically unemployment, which I have worked every day of my life, basically since I was able to work. So being unemployed really hit me hard, especially being a Marine, computer experience, all this intelligence that I had, not able to get a job. My relationship was going south, and I was going to lose my place. Again, I was probably going to be out on the road. I started going back into, I guess a recession, drinking, drugs, all that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to hit on this too much, but it's kind of important in the story, and I've been contemplating to telling this or not, but at one point there was a long binge of doing stuff, and I had actually, I guess, almost committed suicide. I was at a very low point. It was probably after staying up all night and just being reckless or whatever else. And I remember going into, my girlfriend never came home that night, and I remember going into the room, and we had a 2020. It was a rifle. Sat down by the edge of the bed, and it was loaded. It was always loaded. It was under the bed, and I pointed at myself. I was laying down, and I had the barrel looking in my face. Obviously, I didn't pull the trigger, but it was a turning point in my life. And the reason I kind of added that in there, because I kind of turned to gaming. Obviously, I didn't do the deed, and I needed something to take my mind off of things and to kind of heal myself, or my therapy, I guess. So I turned to gaming, and that's when I think I really ratcheted up as far as playing games a lot. Whenever I had free time, I was always playing games, and from that I kind of healed myself. I started finding friends online. Before, I moved tons, so all the friends I really had were in different states. They weren't long-term friends. A lot of people that stay in the same place since they were born, and they have lifelong friends. Well, between the military, between my parents moving back and forth between Jersey and Florida and all this stuff, so having the online friends, I was able to keep those friends no matter where I went. So I started getting into gaming, and that's when I was hitting Gears of War hard, top 100 in the country for a month and a half, and that's when a representative from the organization Vicious Army contacted me. It was 2006 sometime, and I had been playing Grawl too. But they contacted me for that. Said, hey, you were top 100, or I think I was like 50 something. I don't know. They contacted me, and I started getting with them, and I started learning about the history of Vicious Army, and they had videos out and all this other stuff. Vicious Army was actually one of the largest organizations when the 360 came out, and they were very dominant in any game that we played. If I were to go back, and I'm going to get haters on this, but go back, to Call of Duty 2, we had sniping crews on Call of Duty 2. Back then, Hector Rodriguez, which everybody knows as Hex, he was not the leader of Optic back then. And, they were still young, we were young. We would dominate them. There's people in our organization say, we were out when Optic was out, and we were pooping on them. That's not to toot my own horn, but this will tie into a conversation later. But we were dominant. Every game we touched, Graw, Rainbow Six Vegas, Gears of War, everything that we touched. Top page of game battles, which was really the only outlet for gamers at that point. And there was a lot going on. So when I say that, you know, we were strong, we had probably 300 active members. If you were to go on a game and see Vicious Army, you would see somebody in any room. I mean, at that time it was still a small community. We were everywhere. But the reason why you don't see Vicious Army or Army of Affliction or Famous Last Words or any of these other names that you go by, which kind of falls back on the leadership. I was not the leader of that. There was a man named Psychosis that led these, and like I said, we followed him. I mean, he was a pretty good leader, you know, when he was there. He was excellent at making websites, which kind of got me into making websites. Videos, he was active in that. But the problem was he was there for about a month or 3, and then he would disappear for another month. And if you guys have ever been part of a community, when leadership's gone, everything kind of falls apart. So we would you know, it was almost at the beginning of every game that we would, you know, get teams together, we'd get the community together, the website, videos, for 3 months of the beginning of the game, and all of a sudden it just stops. So through continuously having to rebuild, you know, it was like we got so far in such a short time, and it would crash because, you know, the leadership was gone. And this is kind of tying back to the statement I made where we were us and Optic. The reason why organizations and communities or teams work is longevity. When you have an organization that stays together through thick and thin, is always there, you're gonna grow. If you're constantly doing like we were doing, you're breaking down, building back up, you're not going to be remembered. If we were to say Vicious Army or Army Affliction now, you know, unless you were around that point in time, nobody knows who we were. Even though at that time we were, you know, something big. So that's kind of the history, you know, of why when we say we've been around for such a long time. It's not the same people, but the same kind of core people. Myself, Ho-Ho, Casper, we were some of the original ones that were playing back in 2005, 2006. And just for a throwback, I'm going to throw some of these names out of the people that were in this organization. Psychosis was the leader, and this is mainly for, I guess, history's sake. Grizz, Rock Your Ass, Overdose, Point Man, Vastlord J, Tech9, C-Squad, Betrayed, Casper, myself, Ho-Ho, Get Run Over, which also went as Grover. Also Unworldly God, which was actually part of the Gods before he joined us. And that was another thing. If you guys remember the Gods, they were unmatched at some points, and some of their members actually came and joined us. Now, as far as the history goes, we went from Vicious Army and then to Army of Affliction in 2007-ish. That's about the time Call of Duty 4 came out. And then I think we went back to Vicious Army again. And at that point in time, well, each of these organizations, we always ran off of the military thing, you know. The captains, the generals, the sergeant majors, all this other stuff. And the reason why these organizations worked is, you know, at each grade or each rank, you actually had a job to do. It wasn't that, you know, you've been there for a while or that you're a good player, but if you reached the rank of sergeant, you would get a squad. If you reached the rank of officer, you had, you know, you had to run meetings. You were good enough to run, a game, like, if you were a captain, you were the Rainbow Six leader or whatever else like that. So it was everybody's job to pitch in, and that's how so much got done, and we grew so fast in such a little time. Was everybody pitched in. It wasn't one person or three people or staff or anything like that that kind of did anything. Everybody pitched in, and you had to, or you would lose your rank. And that was a reason why I rose up so quickly. I was dedicated. I worked hard. Within a couple months, I went from just this good player in Gears of War to being the leader of the Gears of War team. Now we ended up actually going, I think, semi-pro in the original Gears of War. We were playing teams like VBI, which I told you, and I remember his name now. It's Arctic VBI, and I think their new thing is ZYN. He does a lot of reviews. I met him down in Raleigh, I think 2 years ago. So it was good to see him, but he's still doing this thing. The Gears of War thing isn't really big. VBI kind of fell off when Call of Duty 4 hit. And actually around Call of Duty 4, the then newly reestablished Army Affliction or Vicious Army, we were so damn big, and kind of if I were to put this in terms, we had close to 15,000 people on the website, 3,000 active members. We were huge. We were a young, reinvented Optic Gaming, like they are now. And the reason why I say Optic Gaming a lot when I talk about them, we have ties to them way back in the day. Obviously, there's some things that I said earlier, but there's nothing but admiration and respect for some of these guys. Some history. Optic Diesel, he actually was with us for a time, and there's some history with VBI in Call of Duty 4. I'll tell you in a little bit. Flatline, which I'm not sure if anybody remembers or knows his name. He was a big player in the game back then. He actually worked for Optic, trying to do their website and some recruitment. Also, Optic HeXp himself. He was in the midst of actually trying to join us or become part of leadership, but eventually he decided to not go back to Optic, but pick it up and do his own thing. And honestly, he's done a great job with that, and I commend him on that. And some of you guys might be like, "Well, that's bullshit." If you want proof of that, I mean, just go to Optic Diesel's YouTube videos. He has a video, how I got into Optic, and I think around the second or third video, he kind of does a little information about that time period. So we were huge, massive. We were growing. We had videos. We were streaming. I forget what the live stream was for that time. I'm gonna say it was livestream.com. I'm thinking that was before Twitch came out, but it was a big thing. And again, with all of this success and everything that was going on, leadership disappeared again, and nobody knew how to do anything. We had the website we were trying to do, and I didn't know as much about website design as I do now, and I still don't know a lot. But through trying everything, the website went down, and I tried to repair it. It didn't work out, and again, leadership was gone, so we just disappeared again. This is now 3 years, 2 or 3 years that we've been doing this over and over again. I remember going into a lobby, and we were trying to rebuild for like the third time, right? And the idea was brought up. Okay, well, let's change our names to numbers. All right, everybody was so hyped. All right, that sounds cool. Everybody spent their Microsoft points, got their name changed. Oh, that looks gay. Hey, let's do this. There was a guy, Unworldly, and myself. Worldly changed it the most, though. He changed his name 5 times that night. I mean, we put so much money and effort and thought into everything that we're doing in this organization, and that's why it kind of burnt on us so many times that, you know, once we worked so hard to get everything up, it came crashing down. And there was a point where, like, hey, let's delete our friends list and just start from scratch. Everybody just add who we have in this room, and we'll build from there. All right, that sounds awesome. Yeah. Everybody deletes their friends list. Well, you guys actually did that? You know, so there was points in time that the leadership made it came crashing down on such a successful organization. And at that point in time, I said enough was enough. You know, I cared. You know, I was a hard worker, and I wasn't going to do it anymore. A lot of people felt that way, and at that point in time, Vicious Army or the Army of Affliction or that group of people, the core, we split up. Everybody was done. I was still a competitive gamer. I actually had a little bit of skill left in me. I wasn't an old man like I am now. I was still pretty old. I think 26, 27. So I definitely wasn't in my prime, but I was able to keep up. And that's when I went through Mob. I was playing with Mob for a time, with Grawl and Ghost Recon 2 or whatever the games were out then. I played with Mob. I actually played with VBI after Gears of War when Call of Duty 4 came out, toward the latter end of it. And again, Diesel was there. Diesel whooped on me. Yeah, he was a beast back then. I mean, he probably still is. I don't watch a lot of his videos, but Diesel, I know we were all in the same recruitment stage, and that boy would whoop up on some kids. So tried VB out, and I actually made it into VBI. There was some other players from Optic and some other top organizations that made it, and I traveled with them up to, I think, Ohio somewhere. There's a LAN going on, and it was a two LAN centers. It was the same LAN business, but two LAN centers had a joint operation going on, and we played that, you know, entire day. I think it was a weekend gig, but I traveled from Tennessee all the way up there, and our team would actually only practice for about 2 weeks before we went, and we dominated all the way up to the semifinals. I think out of 50 plus teams, I think we placed 5th. We were 2 shots out of money. It was a kind of a letdown, and I don't know if you guys remember back in Call of Duty 4, Golf, if you remember that name. He was actually on the team that knocked us out of the running, and we're kind of bummed about that, but we didn't really do anything after that. VBI kind of fell apart after that. They, you know, obviously tried their Gears of War thing, and if you don't know, Vicious by Instinct, VBI. The two brothers kind of ran it and kind of fell apart. So here I am after Call of Duty 4, no organization. I think Modern Warfare 2 was coming out, or Call of Duty 3. I never got into Call of Duty 3. That game sucked, in my opinion. If you like it, I'm sorry. It was the worst. I hated that damn game. I don't know what I was playing at that time. It was probably a Ghost Recon game or something else. But I got back into Call of Duty when Modern Warfare 2 came out. It was a great game. It honestly was. But again, nothing really serious was going on. I think Psychosis tried starting something else again. It didn't work out. But many games, no organizations. Played Halo, you know, Halo 2 or whatever it was back in the day. And it wasn't until I was actually going to join Optic. I had a lot of friends over there. I think this was about 2009, if I'm not mistaken. About 2009. I'm not sure what game was out there. Like I said, I'm going off the cuff here. 2009, I was playing around with joining Optic. I had a lot of people in the organization, and I was possibly thinking about doing their website and stuff like that, but at the same time, I had the notion to start my own organization. I wanted to do something in my own vision. I didn't want to follow in anybody's footsteps, and I started playing around with the idea. And this is kind of like the beginning of HeXp. Back in Modern Warfare 2, Ho-Ho, which you'll hear his name a lot because he's probably one of the longest standing friends I've had. I guess on Xbox. We actually know each other in person. We visit each other when we can. He's been to an event with us. So we've known each other since 2006. So that's 7 years we've known each other. One of the best guys that I've ever met in my life, and I'll call him a dear friend to the end. But either way, he had this revelation about heightened experience. Back then it was just a clan tag. It was just something that that was going around. We kind of just played around with the idea. And early 2010, I really started putting in, thought into it. Started getting names together, and started working on the website, and decided, the idea behind heightened experience was where I wanted to go with this new organization. And thinking back to Modern Warfare 2, I'm almost thinking that I was playing with VBI in Modern Warfare 2. I know there's a long timeline, but you got to think that there was a lot of games and a lot of activity going back then. And that was a long time ago. I'm an old man. My memory doesn't serve me too well sometimes. So it might have been Modern Warfare 2 that I was playing with VBI. It kind of hits a close ring, but that's probably more true than Call of Duty 4. But anyway, so we started building up on the website, and I think HeXp Gaming doors opened up in November of 2010. At that point, I was trying just to get the old members from the organization that we played for back in Vicious Army of Affliction. I was trying to get those back into the fold. There's a lot of great members, and it was kind of the first time that I introduced the whole kind of business aspect to the thing. Before we were doing the army and the whole clan, I was like, the clan thing's dead. We need to be professional. We need to go the organization route. That's where we came into, I started making the staff, directing thing, staff positions, stuff like that. I probably wasn't the original guy that came up with it, but it was new for us. And it was a time that I really started to focus on starting to learn how to do web design, started to make videos, stuff like that. And it was almost a period where we grew really fast, but it wasn't in competitive growth. It was just we had a whole bunch of smaller communities that we kind of involved into us, and they became HeXp Gaming. And we had some, earlier, some things that happened earlier on in the heightened experience that kind of broke us down, but we kept on building back up from it. And I'm actually going to get into all of that on the next video, because I believe the history of HeXp should be a video all in itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut it off there. So November 2010, we start Heightened Experience Gaming, and the next video I'll go straight into the history of HeXp. If I've left anything out, or if you are a part of that timeline in this video, send me some comments, refresh my memory. Like I said, I'm going completely off the cuff here, and I really am trying to think of everything as much as possible. So if I forgot something or someone, hit up the video, leave comments, concerns, questions, whatever else. If you like this series that I'm doing, let me know. Let me know how I'm doing, if I'm totally doing a train wreck or not. And I do actually have some other games. If you want to give some suggestions as far as what games, League of Legends or I can even do another Guitar Hero series. I got racing games, flying games, whatever it is. Just let me know. And I'm going to let you actually listen to the rest of the music on this video if you want to. You can turn the video off now. But again, man, play hard, play safe. Peace.